All right, welcome back to the Brighter Side of Blue, live, semi-live from Columbo's Cafe, home of the Seabo's Pizza, daily lunch specials, great food, great atmosphere, and Columbo's Cafe in Dogtown. I am Tommy. We have no Danny tonight, but we've got Tommy Malachek.
How you doing? Thanks
What's
for
up,
having
Chuck?
me back, man.
And then, of course,
Good to see you guys.
Reverend JJ.
and
You'll hear about
Producer
that.
John.
so Reverend JJ. Yeah, we talked about that on the last show. You're missing on the last show, and tell us a little bit about your duties. What were you doing?
Well, I officiated a wedding of two good friends of mine. They gave me credit for fixing them up and wasn't real comfortable with that whole thing about being responsible for their relationship, but it was cool. I got to, signed up, and I got on and became a reverend online, www.ministry.com. Took me about 5 minutes, but I did tell them they probably need to go to a justice of the peace for sure and just make sure that it's legit, but nah.
Oh,
I was there.
They gave me an ID number. They did give me an ID number.
Check. You were there. You were in the house, right?
Yeah, I witnessed it, and JJ did a wonderful job.
You know what I did?
Few tears. There were a few tears out
Oh, I know
there,
about
but
that.
he did. I did. I witnessed it. It was good. No, you did a wonderful job. Your
Well,
homily was.
Well, I was really proud of the
Perfect.
fact that I quoted someone and used the F-bomb.
That's right. You did.
Who'd you quote?
Jimmy Michaels.
Oh, I thought you quoted me.
Oh, that that wasn't far-fetched, was it?
You
But
did.
no,
Yeah, that was.
I
a
did,
famous
but
quote.
it was a true statement. He said, and he said he used to always tell Charlie, "You're just gonna fuck this up," and so I quoted Jimmy and said that. Took everybody by surprise. I apologize.
He dropped the F-bomb from the pulpit.
From the pulpit. Oh, that's-
From the
that's-
pulpit.
See, that was just my way of maybe we're not gonna. This guy's a wild card. We're not gonna ask him to do this shit again. So.
JJ, you're a man of the cloth. How could you drop an
Well,
F-bomb?
I
Right.
was just, I was quoting him. I didn't want to misquote him.
Right. This is you got exactly.
I
Last
didn't
thing-
say it. Someone
He
else
said
did. Right, Jimmy
And
Michaels.
then how did he? Check. You said that he ended it. The way he ended it got you pretty good.
Yeah, by the power invested in me, by the power invested in www.preacher.
www.ministry.com.
Yeah, there you go.
By the power vested in you, by that you announced the man and
Man
wife.
and wife.
I
You,
did.
you may now kiss the bride.
So what we want to do though is anybody that any couples out there that want to come down to the Columbo's on Thursdays,
Right.
we can renew their wedding vows.
What part about my last statement said I don't want to really.
Oh, dude, you're good.
Oh,
I
no.
think you're good at that. Renew wedding vows.
I agree.
We can come up with like the brighter side of blue wedding vows.
When you
Thou
retire,
shalt. That's
Okay.
all start with thou shalt.
right,
Then we'll just make our
Okay.
own wedding vows.
Let me know.
What do you
Let
think?
me know.
retire will be good.
Yeah, Jack, when you get married, I'll do it. We'll do it on the podcast. Sounds good.
Doesn't that sound appealing to your future wife? Hey, I got this idea.
All kidding
Tanisha-
aside,
Tanisha,
JJ
you
did
married?
a great job. Did an awesome job.
You married, Tanisha? Okay, we'll do her wedding too.
But as usual,
But it was good.
We would love the support from everybody. Any likes, subscribes, tell your friends, all that good stuff. We really appreciate that, as always. And I think, Johnny, you got some Venmo shout-outs you want to give?
Yeah, today a friend of mine, Kevin Jones, made a very generous donation. He's a good friend. He's one of my friends who wasn't a police officer, who really started getting into the show, and he listens every week religiously.
Now I know Kevin Jones, but it's probably different
Yeah,
Kevin Jones.
this is a different Kevin Jones.
How do you
I
know?
would imagine it's a pretty common name. I'm
Yeah,
just
it
going
is
to throw that out there.
Jones.
I went to high school with him.
Okay, no, he's younger than I. But and then Ronnie Reeves, retired sergeant, classmate of mine in the academy. He made a nice donation
Did he really?
a few days ago.
Wow, that's awesome.
Good.
So thank you, gentlemen. We really appreciate it.
Appreciate that. And then the Venmo, what's our Venmo, John?
Brighter Side of Blue at Brighter Side of Blue on Venmo.
Very good. And all those donations are welcomed and much appreciated as we continue to try to do a little bit more. We taped one of our Federal Fridays coming up. We taped it yesterday for, we're talking about border solutions, which was very interesting. John, that was pretty interesting, wasn't it? With,
Tremendously interesting.
had a Navy SEAL on with us and talked about designating cartels as terrorist groups and what the special forces might be able to do if that were the case. It was very.
That's going to be a good show.
He's a very, very humble man.
Right, the Navy SEAL. The
Yeah.
Navy SEAL is a he didn't want us to tell his last name. And that's fine. He's but he was very interesting about what they do, and that was it was good, and that'll be coming out, I believe, not this Friday, but the following Friday. So, trying to do more with that series, and so yeah. And then JJ, you got an update on Travis Brown, correct? The Ferguson officer.
It's very little update other than the fact that what's kind of a big deal that he is out of the coma.
That's
That's all I know.
huge.
I don't know
That's big.
how well he's doing, but hopefully, sounds like he is a strong guy. I mean,
to make it this far, right?
Yep.
I mean, and he's fighting, and
right.
the
Optimistic.
human instinct to survive just overtakes everything else, and it's incredible.
You know, not too long ago, I attended a active shooter training that he put on and did a wonderful job. In fact, the group that I was with, they were asking for him to come back and follow up on some different questions and scenarios that they had. And I don't know if people know, but his father was a city police officer, Clyde Bailey.
Okay.
Another wonderful guy. So we continue to pray for Travis, and hopefully things keep going his way.
It's a good sign.
Absolutely. You know,
Yeah.
Well,
one little step at a time, right?
We
That's it.
also will be, by the time this show comes on, we'll have had buried a police officer who was killed in line of duty.
Yeah, we
on
said a
Saturday.
little something about David Lee last week, and yeah, the funeral will be. This will be out on Monday, but it'll have been on Saturday, correct, JJ?
Yes.
And you know, not to bring up bad points, but there's no procession like one of those processions. I mean, it's sad, but it also makes you very proud at times. You know, when you close down the highway. And then some of the things that have gone on in some of those funeral processions, you know, everybody's got a story where people pull over and stand at attention for the entire, you know, thing. And
Or we see like an office building where everybody who works there comes out and stands.
Right.
You know, it's,
I give a shout. There's a bunch of police officers, great, all volunteering to help out and do this, you know, on their own time. And my guys are also going to do it. And so is the SWAT team.
Right.
Part of the procession on Saturday.
Just to give our listeners an idea, and we won't get into funeral stories, but went to Nick Sloan's funeral, and I was with John Frank, producer John. We were riding together, and it was at the new cathedral in Lindell, and Nick was buried at Calvary Cemetery at Kings Highway and Riverview.
Cleat Street?
No. Flarson,
okay.
Thank you. We were at the funeral parlor, or the funeral cemetery, and the procession was still leaving the new cathedral in Lindell. So imagine that, all the way up Kings Highway, how many people attended that funeral. And that was Nick's, but that's for every police officer.
Right.
That's
Like I
killed in
said,
the
it's
line
quite
of
a
duty.
sight. It's
Let's get a cheerier
right,
topic.
exactly. But one of the things we're going to talk about later in the show, and probably be the title, if I can imagine, correct, Jack? And the thing is about the story of a man named Paige Spears, who's currently in the Farmington prison and serving some time. And we'll get into that story in a little bit, but that's going to be our marquee story later. So just want to let you guys know that. And if you're in for that, then Jack will
There's
have
a little twist to it.
There is some twist to it. There's, you know, a little different. It'll be a little different than you would probably expect to hear from a police podcast. But JJ, speaking of a police podcast, you had some interesting activity today with your guys. What happened?
Oh, well, I can't talk about it. No, no. We just got a guy that my guys tried to stop him, took off. They spiked his tires on 55 northbound from Weber, and it's all construction area there. They did a heck of a job spiking. Lost all 4 tires. One actually completely fell off. Threw a bag over the side of the highway, and had a big thing of fentanyl, and then 2 guns in the car. But we caused a little issue on the traffic northbound.
Traffic. I
We
think
had to
the
stop
traffic.
it.
55 is not a problem anyway,
No,
especially in a
it's so
traffic
bad.
zone.
Yeah,
Right.
it goes down to 2 lanes there.
Now it's down to 1.
Big
Or
Jersey
0.
barriers on both sides. So we got it. We had the whole thing blocked for about 3-4 minutes, and finally we got the car off to the side on 1 lane, and so it was a headache for the people behind us. But they were all-
One guy or 2 guys? How many guys?
There was 2 guys in the
2
car.
guys.
Mhm.
Okay. Got them both.
You got them both.
That's
JJ's
beautiful.
used to blocking traffic on 55. Remember the stories of him not doing the zipper merge,
Yeah,
right?
the zipper merge.
Yes,
You can't do
not
the
too
zipper
far
merge,
off
right.
from where I was doing that, actually. You know, I've had sometimes I think that's the correct way, that to zipper merge, and then there's some times that like, come on, man, they're getting all of a sudden this one like you're getting close to the end, and people are doing the right way, and then to some idiot is way back there, and it's getting real close, and they zoom up to the very end. It aggravates me.
Oh, yeah.
Is that why
No
you
doubt.
spiked them?
That's not the zipper merge. You don't go to the very end then get over. You get up and you get over when you can.
Yeah.
So I'm all about the zipper merge.
It's growing on you. It's growing on you. The
It
zipper
has
merge
a little
is
bit,
growing
but
on
there's
you.
always the assholes that can't follow the zipper merge rules.
You're
Is it
on the
convert-
zipper merge fence though. You don't know exactly which one you like.
When it's done right, it's okay. When you're the selfish person that has to zoom past everybody at the very end, and they can see it's like that's it. They actually have to stop because they can't go any further.
But in their
and they
mind,
try
I
to
think
get
they
over.
think they're right. They're like, this is
Oh,
how
they
you're
don't.
supposed
They-
to. This is how Trooper John told me to do it.
Yeah.
And how about the
They
guys
can't.
behind them that when they stop to try to get over?
Right. I don't know what you're talking about.
At any rate, let's move on.
Nah. So when we do these shows, we did a show about honoring the females, and we did a show about practical jokes and funny things last week, and we always forget. We always come up here and we have all these great stories we're going to tell, but if you don't have them written down in front of you, sometimes you forget. And one of the stories that we did for our JJ was had brought up after we did the show about women. He said, I forgot to tell a story, and it is a neat story, so
And I
he's
feel-
going to tell that story.
I do feel bad. I was a sergeant. It was a while back. I was in the 1st District, and I was on 3 to 11 shift, and I went to Steak and Shake around 6 or 7 at night that by myself, which I did often, which is one of my favorite places to eat. Anyway, that's nothing to do with the story, but I was walking in, and there was a little old lady in her 80s, and she was sitting in a booth, and you know what? I think about it. She had her back where she could actually see the people coming in the door. So I'm walking by, and she was in her 80s, a little white-haired old lady, and she says, "Hey, officer, are you a police officer?" And I was like, "Yes, ma'am, I am. I'm in full uniform."
Right.
"Yes, I am." She goes, "Oh, thank you." She goes, "I used to be a police officer." I go, "Oh, really?" I go, "That's great." And I'm thinking she was kind of maybe a little,
Losing it.
maybe, imagining things.
Possible.
Right.
And she says, "I think I have my retirement badge in my purse." She goes, "But I don't have my gun." And I said, "Well, you should carry your gun if you got a badge." And you're just joking with her, kind of. So she starts looking through this big bag. It's like one of those, real like
Right.
shopping bags kind of thing.
Right.
And she's digging through it. And I go, "Man, you don't have to search for that. I appreciate your service." And I go walk down, and I get in my chair, and I'm sitting at the table. And a few minutes later, I look up, and she is holding her badge up, and she's waving it.
Ah, that's
And she's
great.
like, "I have it." So I'm like, "Oh my gosh, she's not lying. She's telling the truth." So I go up and talk to her again, and she's super nice. And I give her my card. And I say, "If you ever need anything, let me know." And she goes, she lives in the city. She lived by the Haven bar on Morgan Ford.
Right.
She lived there. So I was like, so she actually called me a few times, but let me go back though. So I go back to my table, and the little waitress comes in, and I said, she was actually a police officer. That was actually really cool. So she goes, "Did she give you her baseball card yet?" I said, "What are you talking about?" She goes, "She played baseball in the League of Their Own." I go, "You got to be kidding me." She goes, "No."
Really?
She goes, "She's given us all baseball cards with her signature on it." And so I went back to her, and I said, "Hey, I heard you were in the League of Your Own. Do you have any baseball cards?" I go, "Oh, yeah." So she pulled this one out of her purse, which we're going to put it on the screen. But it's a signed picture with her baseball card. She was inducted in the hall. No, she wasn't. Her photo, her glove, and her bat, and a picture of her team was put in the Hall of Fame, and she signed the very top of it. So if you go Hall of Fame, you can see her signature in one of the
How cool is
displays.
That is awesome.
That's neat.
But the coolest, the one that, and actually got a cool picture. So I became friends with her, and she would call me because I gave her my card for different things. One time she called me because someone stole this wrought iron or big part of her barbecue pit, and she was really upset. So I tried to find it for her. There's no good end story because I never did find it. But so I said, we're going to take you to lunch someday because she lives 3 doors down from the Haven. So I called her one day. I said, "I'm going to pick you up. I'm going to come get you, and we're going to go to the Haven." So I brought my whole crew, and we're going to have a picture on here too of my. They were plain clothes. We're in the little special ops,
Right.
Throw special ops. So they all sat with her, and we all sat, and she gave cards out to everybody. And she told her story, and one of my favorite stories, she was one of the first women to be, she said she was the first woman to be taken to the John Darty's
Hoodlum Squad?
Hoodlum Squad.
Right.
And then she says, well, she's sitting telling stories to us all, she says, and I looked this up, and this happened actually. She says, "I was always a really good shot." She goes, just because I played baseball, I guess, but I always had good hand-eye coordination, and I was just an excellent shot with my firearm. She says, well, I'm driving in a car, and the aid call comes out. Officer need of aid call comes out, and the suspect's running. He's jumping a big fence. I'm in the passenger side of the police car, and my partner keeps saying, Irma, shoot him. Irma, shoot him. So she says, I reached out the window and shot him and knocked him right off that fence.
That's
So
great.
she wounded him. She didn't kill him because I read that up in the paper, but she had all these guys laughing, but she was dead serious. And I was
That's
like,
good.
was that a true story? It's definitely a true story. She shot a guy and knocked him right off the fence one time. One shot.
One shot, Irma.
Yep, one shot.
like
Irma.
it.
What a
like
great
it.
Neat
story.
gal. And
Yeah.
on a sad note, she passed away September 13th, 2015.
But I bet you when
be
you
darned.
met her with all the guys, that was probably pretty cool for her.
Oh, that was really. I
was
love
cool
it.
for
And
you
she
guys,
was-
too.
And I tell you what, she's in her 80s, and she talked, and then when the food came, man, she ate like she was
That was it.
22. Man,
That's
she
good.
ate them.
That's awesome.
There was no talking. She finished her every last bite. I couldn't remember what she got, but we thought it was so funny that an 80-something-year-old woman can just eat like that.
Right.
But neat lady, just and such a friendly and great person. So
That's a good story.
That's a great
what a
story.
story she is too.
She must have been a heck of a policewoman for John Doherty to pick her up.
Right.
Put her on his squad.
Probably right
you
after
know?
she shot that guy off the fence.
I'm
He's like,
thinking
I
that's
need
when
to
she got pulled.
Right
bring
up his
Irma
alley.
down.
Yeah, Irma's our girl.
She's my kind of woman.
And one of the articles I read, she used to walk the beat on the sidewalks as a decoy in dangerous neighborhoods, and she would
So
walk in.
she did the stroll kind of
Yeah,
thing. as a
yeah. So
prop
it didn't really
back
say
there.
the stroll. It just said she would be she'd be a decoy, and she'd walk down these bad neighborhoods and try to get mugged.
Try to get
or
robbed and stuff?
whatever. Yeah,
Oh.
she was tough, man. There's no doubt about it.
Wow.
I remember those details when you tried to get robbed at the bus station.
She got on 1961,
We won't even tell those stories.
Wasn't
1961.
even born.
and she did 25 years.
Wow.
She retired 25 years on. Anyway,
That's a good one.
that's my Irma
So
story.
that's the one we forgot from the
Yeah,
female
I mean, I thought it
story.
was
and-
appropriate
and-
with all the females there. I'd like to have showed them the card and everything, but hey,
Well-
and it's so hard and on.
We saved it because she's in a league of her own.
Johnny.
Go,
I
Johnny.
knew it. There you
Go,
go.
damn, that was good.
That was good, Johnny.
There go Johnny. But the,
That's good.
That was awesome.
when we last week, like I said, we have all these stories you want to tell, and the female show, God only knows how many tons of females we left out, and we apologize to any of those. You know what I mean? But last week I left out a good prank story between Tony Lockenick, who's been on several times, and John Winter, who's I think we've mentioned him. He was a longtime mobile. But they were both sergeants in the South Patrol Detective Bureau together, and they had a little prank war break out. And they were going back and forth. Well, my favorite one was when that John Winter found an extra phone or had an extra phone. I don't know if it was a department extra phone, but it was an extra cell phone. And they made the ringtone said, "Tony's an asshole. Tony's an asshole." So. And then then John put it in Tony's top drawer at his desk, and then screwed the drawer shut. And then when Tony came in at 8 a.m, the phone started ringing, and all he could hear was "Tony's an asshole, Tony's an asshole, Tony's an asshole," and he just kept calling him back and back and back.
And you couldn't get the jar
And
open.
Tony couldn't get to it.
Yeah, because he had shut.
See, Tony, I got to know Tony. My first impression of Tony, he was a very intimidating sergeant. I had to go to homicide for something. He was like a no-nonsense guy, says very little. And I can't imagine putting a prank on him.
Oh, we got
And when
bad.
I first knew him. Now I see, I know him better, a lot better, and he's a good guy. Actually, his last assignment as lieutenant, I work for him.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's a.
You're talking about Tony Rass, dude. This is Tony Lockenick.
Tony Lockenick.
Scratch all that shit out.
Thanks for listening.
Right.
Yeah,
Thanks for
no,
listening, brother.
I thought it was Tony Rask all along from when you told me the other day.
Are you sure you were talking about Irma Bergman?
No, it's Bergman something. I don't know. Yeah, give my. Sorry about that.
Tony
now it's more understandable to me though, because Tony is an asshole, Locknick.
Oh boy.
Ooh.
Oh, Jack.
Dude,
we'll
actually-
cut that.
Christ, here we
No,
go.
because
we don't cut anything
No,
out.
no.
Jay
You can
Joseph.
leave that Tony Locknick stuff in because I got a long text thread with him and he was an asshole in the text thread. But go on. That's his. That's his mo.
Now you can not only yell at him on the text thread, you get on the podcast and double it down.
There you go.
Just tell him, hey, just listen to the next text. Just tell him, listen to the podcast.
And
next
I
week.
apologize to Tony Rass too, but he is a good man.
He is a good man. Check your tight
But
with
you-
Tony. Both Tonys.
Both Tonys. Well, Tony Lockenick's a cousin, and I did
right.
work
You
for
guys,
Tony.
You
Rass.
guys use that loosely. That cousin thing.
Oh, he is.
Okay.
No, he is.
Who's a cousin?
He is. Tony Lockenick.
Name it.
We're cousins.
Tell us how you're cousins.
On my dad's side. And his mom. And his mom.
Oh, that sums
Right.
it up real good.
It's
Okay.
like the 6 degrees to Rob Lowe.
He's your play cousin.
But I did work. Well, I worked for Tony Lockenick and Tony Rask, and you're right about Tony Rask. Tony's a very no nonsense guy. Worked with him.
So you're saying that Lockenick is a nonsense guy?
He can
Yeah.
be, yes.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Okay.
Total
Although he was-
nonsense.
yeah,
he starts
I-
with nonsense
I would give him
and
a
then
good.
works up.
I hate to give him a good plug, but he was a heck of a sergeant.
He was
Oh,
good.
he's a
You can,
great
you can
sergeant.
definitely cut that out, Jack.
He
And,
was
and,
good.
and Tony Rask was a great sergeant and lieutenant.
Oh,
Guys
absolutely.
wanted to work for
Absolutely.
him too. So I was fortunate to work for both of them.
Before
Both
we
good
get
guys.
to trials and tribulations, where can we get some cars around here, Chuck?
There's only one place.
All right, let us know.
Schicker Automotive. You got to go see the Schicker family every first Saturday of the month. They, if you go down and take a test drive, they make a donation to the Make-A-Wish Foundation. So couldn't think of a better organization. But Schicker Automotive, know the whole family, Lisa, John, Trish, the whole gang. Wonderful supporters of law enforcement, always have been. Knew their mom and dad, same way. So please, if you're looking to purchase a new vehicle, get to Schicker Automotive and take a test drive on the first Saturday of every month.
We still haven't clarified that.
appreciate
Is it per vehicle you test drive, or is it just once? So, because we're talking about going down and just driving every vehicle
Right.
on the lot.
Yeah, I think they give it every vehicle. So
Yeah, I believe that's.
So if you're
every
listening, you
vehicle.
might want to clarify that before
Yeah.
you start
no, just
driving
keep
every car
driving.
on the lot
No, I would just say, just drive every car on the lot, see what happens.
Yeah.
and buy one before
Either
you
way,
leave.
get on their
Buy
lot.
one.
Get on their lot. So
Right.
Schicker Automotive.
Big supporter of law enforcement. Yeah, Schicker Automotive. And I think as we go into the Zen, we have our Zen queen that knows about the Zen's going to tell us. Hit it, John.
Buy your cars from Schicker Automotive, but get your Zen from JJ.
There it is.
There she
there's
is.
there's Mama Howard.
Oh,
she
she's
knows
awesome.
what she knows what she's talking about, doesn't she?
A leader's impact is not felt just in their presence, but in their absence.
One more time. I do like
Oh
that.
man, I did that so good.
You did do it. You got it again, dude.
Yeah,
Come on.
do it. Oh,
A leader's impact is not just felt in their presence, but in their absence.
That is good.
that's deep.
Yeah, that was actually
That
came
is a
from
good
my
one.
boss, Joe Marisi, gave me that.
Actually, when you
I
think
like
about it,
Okay.
it does.
That is a
It
good
really
one.
resonates within police departments.
Right.
If you think, when everybody can think about all the great units they've been in, and we've said this 100 times on the show, but every great unit you've ever been in had great sergeants, lieutenants, captains, whatever that is.
Right.
But that's where, and then when they're gone, there's that change.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it really does affect the entire place, depending on who
Absolutely.
comes in, or it can, most
Starts
definitely.
at the top. Yeah, you're right.
But now we're going to go into trials and tribulations, and anytime you're talking trials nowadays, we're going to
Oh boy.
we're going to have to talk about P Diddy. Johnny, what do you got from P Diddy? Want to bet? He's going to be stopped now. He's going to be stopped in his tracks. You guys been paying attention to this thing?
Oh, who hasn't? The whole world's paying attention.
So that with the, I think the one thing that is that law firm is the most interesting thing right now is that the Tony Busby law firm out of Texas,
Right.
and they reviewed in this P Diddy case, they reviewed over 3,200 victims' allegations, and then peeled it down to 120. Can you imagine the because they got to vet all these things. You
Right.
know they took the best 120 going.
No doubt. Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
No doubt.
And then, but there was 60 women, 60 guys, 25 of them are
Juveniles?
juveniles, and it's they picked
Sick.
it, and then the lawyer when he was giving his press conference, he's like, we're not just going after P Diddy as defendant. There are going to be other defendants named.
No, there's a lot of nervous people right now.
And then
Yeah,
when
absolutely.
he was saying that they're going after the people that watched, that were complicit to it. So if you were at the party and you watched and you did nothing, you watched the silliness go down.
You didn't stop
He's
it.
coming after them. The people that threw the parties,
Mm-hmm.
so record labels, people that had them at their home. I mean, the names that they're bringing up in this thing are incredible.
It's unreal.
Right.
I saw an interview with him last night, and he said, the interviewer said, "Are we going to know the names on this list?" He goes, "Oh yeah, you're going to know most of them." But
Unbelievable.
even the people who paid for these parties, they may not even went to the party, but the people who finance these parties, the hotels that and other venues that had these hosted these parties, they're all getting wrapped up in this.
Yep.
I can't believe, like, he was married to Jennifer Lopez.
You know, she's probably tied up, and then she's getting divorced from her
Yep.
dude. What's her dude's name? Ben Affleck. You got to think
That might be why.
Oh, I would think that has a lot to do with it. I mean, what the heck?
I mean,
The
just
guy
some
was-
of the names that are getting brought up, and there's this gal, and you guys know I do this social media. I love this kind of shit.
Right.
Fall into
Right.
the hole of this. There's this gal named Jaguar Wright, and she's been saying crazy stuff for like 2 years. Well, it was considered crazy at the time. She was within that Puff Daddy circle, and then she got out of it. Well, and then she was, and everybody thought, well,
lucky
this is
she's
too
still
crazy.
alive.
She's
no
on all the
kidding.
shows now.
Right.
Now she's getting all the pimp, are getting pimped on all these shows because when she was saying all that stuff, everybody's like, well, that's too wild to even believe.
Yeah.
Maybe. And then it started gaining momentum with all the people saying little stuff like this. And then now with this, everything. Can you imagine if you get named in one of those just because of the allegations? You're automatically guilty at that point. You are, I mean, everybody's
Right.
against you. There is no, because everybody knows what's going on now.
Yeah.
So if you get named, it's not like, oh, I wasn't there. Yeah, you were.
Yeah. Federal government
Oh,
says you were.
there's a lot of people I can't stand in Hollywood.
Oh, dude, this is why I love it so much.
I hope that there's a bunch of them on this list, dude. It'll be sweet.
Can we do some kind of fantasy pool for this?
Yeah, that's not a
Oh,
bad
there you
idea.
go.
Yeah, we have a draft.
Yeah, have a
We
draft.
have a fantasy Hollywood draft to see who gets sued for the most.
I like it. That's good. Yeah.
Because I mean, I'd take. Hey, let's
You know
just do
who's,
it. Hey,
who's this always has this righteous opinion is LeBron James. He's always got to
He's
say
gonna be on
He's
list.
wrapped up in this thing.
yeah,
well,
buddies. Well, he says there's no part.
speculation.
Well, he's on
right,
tape saying there's no
speculation.
party like a Diddy party. So,
He'd be dragged in there. Hey, what's our first witness is LeBron James. What you mean by that? I'm gonna play this and no. What you mean by that? And then you got
P. Diddy he wanted up $50 million to get out.
right.
And the judge said, keep
Dude,
your $50
He's been moving
million.
his assets around for the last
Yeah, keep
months.
it. You're
but he
staying
couldn't
locked
hide.
up.
The whole world knows who he is now. I mean, where's he
Right.
going to go hide?
But then you got Jay-Z. He's all named up in this thing. Rihanna,
Usher.
Ellen DeGeneres.
No, I thought she was like mad at him on the show or something. I didn't really see that part of it. She
That's
actually
the
go,
name.
she
I'm
did,
just telling you I'm just telling you what social media's got going down.
see. I thought he was on her show and she said,
They scared him with a clown.
well, he said, yeah,
Saw
well, he
that
said
one.
you need to come to my party. She's like, no, I'm not
That's
coming to one of your
scary.
parties. I don't know.
Yeah, there ain't no party like a Diddy party. But the accusations they're all the same too. Is that they come in, they fly in these children, prostitutes, whatever they are. They
It's
fly them
sickening.
in.
How
That's
sleazy
horrible.
a world is that, man?
Well, they're taking advantage of a lot of kids, not the paid for people, but the non paid for people are chasing a dream.
Right.
You know, they're trying to get whatever they're trying to get, and that little circle that, you know, you start talking about the names we've talked about. That little circle can help you.
Well, Justin Bieber just came out with a song saying the
Yeah.
Ferrari wasn't worth it. He got it was a gift from P Diddy to him. He gave him a Ferrari. He has a song now, and the Ferrari wasn't worth it. I mean,
Really?
I think he really. I don't know, sure, but it seems like he really screwed up that kid.
What was the name of that producer? Same thing. Movie
Weinstein?
Yes.
Harvey Weinstein.
Harvey. Same
And you
deal,
got Epstein.
You know.
These people, they're entitled
I mean-
deviants. They're entitled evil
think they're
deviants.
above the
And you know what?
law.
They'll do anything to become famous. It's
Right.
just
Well, and then the ones that make it realize that, and then they start the Epstein stuff or the
Exactly right.
Weinstein or P.
Right,
Diddy and
right.
Jay-Z and all that. They have a lot of power.
be cool to be the one that put handcuffs on some of these people.
Art gets to interview them, and you're like, hey,
I'd rather
there you go.
I'd rather
got
put
this-
handcuffs on them.
we got this
Tell them
tape.
they're going down.
Is that you? It appears to be.
Tom, didn't you
I-
say that there's more dead bodies around him than certain political people?
Yeah, there's like the mysterious deaths. He's way up there with people that just
Who's that, Tommy?
P. Diddy.
Oh, okay.
They're tied
Yeah.
to, you know, there's like several of them that have died mysteriously of like pneumonia. Like 4 people died of pneumonia. I don't know anybody that's died of pneumonia.
No.
And there's like 4 people that have died or maybe 3 that have died from pneumonia that have been associated with him.
Wow.
Do we have an expert that's working on this for our
We
purposes?
do. So last week we had Vin Yee on. Did you guys see Vin Yee?
Yeah.
So we are going
strange
to.
man.
He is a strange little fella. But he really liked it to be on the show, and we were, you know, thinking about how he could help us. And so he really liked this P. Diddy thing and Hollywood and how Hollywood might go down. So we've signed him on as our trials and tribulations correspondent out in the field. So we'll be hearing from him from all over the United States on different things. Maybe
So
we're
gonna pay him with chicken fried rice?
Yes. Well, he's gonna something like that.
There's no soy sauce because it all got stolen apparently.
He's bringing sweet and sour sauce to the freak offs. He's become a freak off kind of connoisseur now. He's looking into all this. So
Good.
He's
That's
a
a
freak
good
off
sign.
Good
nature.
for him. He's got something. Give him something to do.
Yep.
Nice addition.
The next one, we'll P. Diddy ain't leaving. We'll have P. Diddy updates as we go. But how about the one in Kentucky with the sheriff? Leicester, Kentucky, or something like that. I believe it was like that. A sheriff by the name of Mickey Steins and a judge by the name of Kevin Mullins. And I think we mentioned it briefly, but they had the probable cause hearing. And one of the things that they verified was that they went to lunch that day. And they came back, and then the sheriff went up to his office. And he went in and they exchanged phones. And they verified in the probable cause hearing is that when the sheriff got the judge's phone, he called his daughter. So that was the last phone call, and then the shooting starts.
So the sheriff's daughter's number was in the judge's phone?
Yes,
Okay.
they verified that. So, and you always talk about,
I'm sure there was text messages in that too.
No doubt. Yeah.
well, he had to have some reason why he would call his daughter from the judge's phone. Now, when he got arrested, it's being reported that he said, someone's trying to kidnap my wife and daughter. I don't know what the hell that means. But that was kind of an odd statement, from
Right.
what's taken place. But,
Yeah.
but what was really odd to me, and this is where police departments they just sometimes shit themselves. But the main investigator is a state trooper in Kentucky. I don't know his name. It doesn't really matter. But one of the questions they asked him is, have you talked to the suspect? And he says, no. This is like 5 days later. So did you try to talk to the suspect? Or did you not talk to him because he invoked his right to an attorney? He says, no. So you just haven't talked to him? He says, yeah. That's how bullshit starts.
Right. No doubt.
I mean, at least if you would said, well, yeah, we tried to talk to him, but he invoked his
Yeah.
Fifth Amendment right. I plead the fifth.
Right.
He didn't. And that, to me, that's how all these conspiracy theorists, and I love conspiracy theorists, but that's how it starts. And I'm telling you that they'll be saying all kinds of crazy shit.
So, did he? I'm sorry. He shot the judge, but did he kill the judge?
Yes,
Yeah,
he did
he
kill
killed
the
him.
judge.
shot him like 8 times.
Oh, well, he killed him. He probably.
Really?
Did, I'm guessing the judge probably deserved it.
Oh no, come on now.
Come on.
Oh, my
See,
God.
now we're gonna speculate. Don't be
that's-
speculating too much.
Why
now.
not?
All right.
I mean, he called his daughter. There's got to be some things in that text message that.
But the family, I should have probably threw this.
I mean,
in
this
before
sheriff's
you-
not going to shoot him for having
The
phone.
family's denying there's any of those allegations because there's allegations
Of
flying.
course they are.
But the family's denying it. The daughter, I do not know how old she is either. I do not
That's
know.
a good question.
Do not know.
Oh man.
That's kind of an
that's a
important
pretty wild
question.
one, isn't it?
That is.
What,
I mean,
how
she
old
was
is the
like
daughter?
20 or 18. I'm like, hey, what
She's
the-
underage for sure.
She is.
She's underage. And
I'm with
look,
you,
man,
JJ. I'm with your line of thinking. I'm with you.
Yes, because
Yeah,
all of us here,
no
if
doubt.
someone, you have Tommy's got a bunch of daughters. If you have a daughter and some creepy judge did something to my daughter,
Right.
I would probably get my
Yep.
things in order so I can get out of the country, and I'd have to kill that bastard.
Yep.
Well, yeah,
I'm with you.
I was going to say that is that you always, when you're sitting around at a bar or whatever, and you talk about and you're just bullshit, and you're like, if anybody ever did this,
Right.
what would you do? And he did it. I
You know,
guess
what, you know what the sheriff did wrong? He reacted too fast. He should have took a deep breath, figured out, and planned his
Attack.
attack.
Yeah.
Well, he locked the door when he went in. I was thinking maybe just a severe, just wall to wall beat down.
Yeah.
And just on camera and just smile at the camera and wave.
Right.
So
And
where
then
now? Where
everybody
is the
be-
sheriff now? Is he still the sheriff?
He resigned. Yeah, he did resign. He resigned under charges. And no, he's in prison.
good question.
Ready to go.
Works for Vern Betts.
What'd you say, Chuck?
Works for Vern Betts. We took him on. We got him.
Yeah.
We got him. He was
Speaking of that-
a free agent.
No, the next
right.
one was the Samir Simpson Bay. who is apparently well known throughout the working policemen in the city.
John and I both knew him.
Yeah,
And he
knew
was
him
a,
since he was a little kid.
He's a professional boxer.
But he was a member of the BMF, who we've talked
Yes.
about in this
Yes.
in this thing.
I think he goes back to the Sinaloa cartel.
Yep, and he's also has ties to the Sinaloa cartel. So
Very, very personable kid.
Yeah.
Full of bullshit, but he was definitely personal.
I was surprised when I found out he was so deep into the drug game.
Yeah, he's always real kind of goofy and but
Yeah.
kind of humorous.
where do you guys know him from?
housing
Peabody's.
Clinton Peabody.
Okay,
Project kid. Came out of the projects.
Yeah.
Box.
He introduced himself to me.
Sure.
At a scene. He said, I got some things I want to do, to organize some stuff for the kids in here and blah, blah, blah. He told me he's a boxer and he knows, blah, blah, he knows Leyshock and all that.
Oh yeah.
And Leyshock, so I told Leyshock that I talked to him. He goes, yeah, he never shows up in the gym. He says he's a really personal kid, but don't trust him.
Oh, there you go.
apparently he's right on the money.
He was right on the money.
He got like 6 years.
71 months.
Yeah, that's
That's kind of shocking, actually. But
one
How
of
old
the
is he?
things.
Young guy.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Didn't
yeah,
say.
he's like 37.
Oh, okay.
He actually, right before he got indicted, he was going to do one more professional fight. But Leyshock would get frustrated with him because he'd never show up in the gym. He just thinks he can show up at fight night. So
Yeah. Game time's on time, moving Marvin Barnes, baby. Right?
Marvin Barnes.
Well, one of the things that I found cool this week, we were, as you know, one of the main reasons of this podcast is we want to show people the personal side of police officers, the human side of police officers, and that has a lot to do with today's show and our main story with Paige Spears. But I got a comment from Nate Williams, who I've mentioned several times on the show,
Right.
and Nate, he did what he did back in the day, he was not on our side of the law, but he was on the other side, and that's fine, and Nate always treated us with respect, and we always treated Nate with respect, so everything was good. But here's a little, just a little blurb from Nate after he watched the show on the females, and Jerry Leyshock was on, and he knows Jerry, and he said, hey, tell Leyshock that I send my regards, and he put, Tommy, I'm starting to think you guys like me. And I put Nate. I always liked you. I told the story about you not telling us your name for years. I'm telling you, I almost started to believe you. Stay well, and thanks for your comments. And Nate wrote back, thanks. Everybody likes to be liked. Out of 21 years I spent in the federal penitentiary, I never once had anything bad to say about you guys. You had a job to do, and you did it with respect.
that's awesome.
Oh,
And I
that's
thought
awesome.
that was, that's kind of like what the show's about. Is this show we're on,
Right.
hey, look, everybody makes decisions they make in life.
Put out the invitation right now to Nate to come on the show.
He did say that he might be interested,
That'd be awesome.
and I just thought, and we had
was
other
cool.
things to say, but as we went back and forth, he tell me to tell Shelley Stevens to say hi, and
Hey, it's never personal.
Right.
They do their job, and
Right.
that's what they do, and our job is to catch them.
well, I'll tell you another. Nate and I went back, and one of the things that Nate said that he remembers vividly from that night is when Sal came in and identified him, and he goes, "Hi, Nate. Hi, Sal." And then Sal looked at us and he goes, "He's one hell of an adversary."
Really.
And that's what and then Nate always remembered that. And then I remembered when we went outside and we were talking, and I asked Sal, I said, you think it's worth, trying to get him to cooperate? And Sal says, it just took you 2 hours to figure out his name. He goes,
That's fantastic.
he says, if you want to waste more time, go ahead and give it a shot. So, yeah, that was a good one, too. So,
That is good.
and then now did you see where the downtown, you see their new hiring?
The ambassadors.
Oh.
The public safety ambassadors. That's got to be that's going to make a difference, man.
No comment.
Yeah.
What are you talking about, JJ? No comment.
nope.
All right.
I don't recall.
Do you think it'll work? Didn't they do this once before?
No comment.
You sure? Okay. They did this once before, I think. Didn't they do this once before, John?
Well, they had the people in the purple shirts that used to be downtown, and
Yeah.
Right.
that was more to like give directions and tell people, people have like, how do you get to the arch? And you say, well, look straight up, and
It's right there.
it's
Yeah.
630 feet in the air. But
I don't recall. I think we need to move on.
No, I don't. I want to know what is the public safety ambassador? Do you read what their jobs might be? What is their job? What's it consist
I
of?
think they're eyes and ears.
Just walk
they're-
around?
Yeah, according to the chief's press conference last night. That, there's
It's
going to be
kinda like-
eyes and ears, and then report to the police.
Observe and report.
Hey.
Observe and report. Yeah.
Hey, can't hurt.
Yeah.
No
Okay.
gun, no
So
mace,
JJ's
no
over there
nothing.
going, I can't comment.
No.
He's over there being Woody.
Hey,
He's over,
my-
hey, Woody.
What are they getting paid?
Woody got no comment.
Are they
I'm going to
getting-
be
Woody don't
optimistic about it.
recall?
Maybe it helps.
Yeah, it being
We'll see
Debbie
how it
Downers.
works. Yeah.
Well, it can't hurt.
They-
But I
Well,
worry about their safety.
It can hurt, but it
Them.
can't.
It
It,
can
could
hurt
hurt them.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
It could hurt them.
Hey, if they want to
Yeah.
do it, more power to them.
What are they getting paid? Do you know?
I have no idea.
If they're ambassadors, do they have diplomatic immunity?
It's a great question.
in the city.
Yeah.
You just have diplomatic in the city. You can't get locked up.
I think they are
diplomatic
very,
immunity.
very noble people that want to do that.
I'm sure the line will be very, very long once the applications are accepted. I gotta
I'm-
think.
Maybe it's a stepping stone to get in the police academy. I don't know, resume builder.
I don't think so.
Who would?
No,
I
no
don't
comment.
recall.
Well, let's check back in after they hit the street.
No comment.
We'll
But check, you know where you go to get a cigar?
He doesn't.
The Riverman Cigar Company. If you ever need a cigar
I did not know that.
on Watson Road as you pour that beer,
Do we-
8984 Watson Road. Just the
really?
Riverman Cigar Company.
That's good to know.
Now they
Dan
we drink
Ponder.
beer when we do this.
Dan Ponder, you know the Ponder family
Yeah.
from the department.
Yeah.
Kevin
They
Ponder?
are a police family. From a police family, they got the cigar shop out there. They had their little event this past
Now,
week.
And
I understand.
what's the address again?
8984 Watson.
in
Okay.
Crestwood.
I understand he is an interesting. His job before that, he was very. Do you know what he did?
He was an engineer of some sort. wasn't
Right, but apparently he was like they thought he walked on water. They said he was
he?
incredible.
Dan, just smart.
Really?
Yes, yes, and I forgot he did. I should
So
go
is this
fact
cigar
check this,
thing a
but he-
side job?
Oh yeah,
or-
he's retired.
Yeah, he's retired.
Okay.
Does this on the side, but apparently he was really, really good at his job and was respected like worldwide. I mean, he was out there. We'll have to find out the whole story because
Maybe we'll have him on.
What's that?
Ricky Ray was our representative
At the event.
Saturday at the event. How was it, Rick?
Rick,
Lot
you
of
don't know-
people?
Do you,
Good crowd.
No, awesome.
you don't know about his past, I guess, right? His history of his job before that. Okay. Someone
That's
told
good to
me-
know. I didn't know that.
That's where you go
Yeah.
for that. Yep.
Yeah.
Riverman Cigar Company.
You know what? Chuck, the one story that I wanted you to tell is that remember that case you started at the airport back in the day when those guys got on the plane, or you saw them earlier in the day and then you saw them later in the day trying to get on it. You got them coming
Right.
off a plane and on a plane the same day.
Yep.
And then we worked it up and then hit a house, and that was a pretty good case. Tell us a little about that. I thought
It
that one
was
was
good.
interesting.
Yeah.
First of all, why were you at the airport watching people board plane and leave the plane?
I'm going to explain that.
Okay.
A lot of people didn't know, including myself at the time.
What's suspicious about people getting on and off planes at the airport?
What was your position?
So I
So go ahead with your
But-
story.
Yeah. Sheets I put in to go to DEA. Where'd you go?
I just had to say hi to somebody.
All right. I put in to go to DEA, and so I get a call from the chief's office that the chief, Bob Sheets, was sending me to DEA task force at the airport, which I didn't know existed.
What year is that?
91, maybe? 92?
That'd be a long time ago.
Something like that. Yeah. So I said, sure, yeah, I'm going, absolutely. So I went to the airport, did not even have a clue as to what they did out there. We had another city officer out there, Donna Roussan. John Roussan's wife was out there. And she explained to me exactly what went on out there. And basically it was, and this is all pre-9/11, of course. No screening, no nothing. You could walk right up to the gate. And you look, there's source cities, LA, Phoenix. You look for money going out and dope coming in on the plane.
Is this a long story, Chuck?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
You're just looking for suspicious people.
All right. Cool.
I can't wait to get at any rate.
Get to
So
it.
this one
I wanna
day,
know.
there was a 6 a.m. flight, inbound LA flight. Group of guys get off the flight. They bypass the luggage carousel, get a taxi, and prior to them getting in the taxi, we stopped them and got their ID, identified them, so on and so
Yeah,
forth.
not having luggage is suspicious, so you stop.
Of course.
Yep.
Of course. So, any rate, fast forward that afternoon, there's an outbound LA flight. The rest of the gang went to lunch. I stayed back for whatever reason. I told them I'll cover that outbound LA flight, which I did, and it was the furthest gate 54. This is when TWA was still around. So went to that gate, and at the last minute, I recognized one of the 5 guys that we stopped at 6 in the morning. One of them was trying to get out. So he sees me, bypasses everybody to get on the jetway, to get on the plane. Well, I grab him, and you could tell he's extremely nervous. So I took him behind the counter, and I just told him to relax. You know, I'm by myself. I'm all the way at the last gate. There's good paying customers around. So I said, listen, just relax. What do you have on you, dope or money? And he said, I have money. I said, okay, not a problem. No law against carrying money, but we got to go talk about it. So I hung onto his belt. I said, let's just walk and we'll talk, and that'll be it. So we get in our office. He pulls down his pants, and I'll never forget, he had purple pantyhose on.
Yeah.
And on each thigh, he had $30,000 duct tape to his thighs. So I said,
Baggy drawers?
Give me the money. Of course.
With
Yeah,
the baggy drawers?
Yeah, baggy jeans. Everything was baggy on the guy. So he's nervous, and I took the money, gave him a receipt, and I said, you're free to go. He said, well, I can't go. And I said, well, you can't stay here. I said, you got to go. And finally, I got him out of the door, and he knocked on the door, and he said, you got to give me some money. I can't go to L.A. with no money. They'll kill me. I said, pal, not my problem. I said, I'm keeping the money, and you have a receipt. You're free to go. And I shut the door. He knocks on the door again. Same routine. I said, you knock on the door again without giving me where this money came from. I said, you are going to go to jail. Knocked on the door again, and he said, I'll give you 100,000, 2 kilos, and 7 guns.
When he says you give it to, that means he'll give you information where they're at.
Absolutely.
Right, not give it to you.
Well, of course.
just want to clarify that, too.
Yeah.
We do.
I got it.
Who's our audience? What,
No, go. You're good.
So,
You're good. I think I followed it perfectly. Go on.
thank
Don.
you,
No,
JJ.
I'm just making sure that you weren't.
First of all, my
painting
problem is
yourself
why,
as a
why
dirty
can't you have
officer.
$30,000 strapped to your thighs and go? I'll be in trouble because when I go to like Costa Rica, I put like 10 grand on each thigh. I'm joking.
My God.
So anyway, let me.
I mean, really,
wrap-
what's the-
I mean, can I wrap this
no big
story
deal.
up?
Yeah.
It's no big deal.
So he comes in, he tells me exactly where it was, the 1600 block at Garrishy.
That's where I got involved because we helped you do the warrant.
Exactly right. Rich Banahan was there, and so I said, "How do I know you're good for this?" And he said, "Here, call this guy. I'll never forget his name, Troy Bybee. He was an LA narcotics officer." I called him up. I told him who I had, and he said, "Write it up. Write the search warrant up. He's good for it. Do it." So the kid drew a diagram, told me where the money was, where the dope was, where the guns were, the whole bit. Get a hold of Rich Banahan. You hop in on that deal. We kick it in, and
he gave it to you all right.
everything was there.
Everything he said was there.
Everything was there. So we lock everybody up, and fast forward, now it's time for the trial. And it was continued and continued and continued and continued for some unknown reason. I have no idea. Federal court, I believe Trish McGrary may have been the AUSA. But at any rate, so every year I go to spring training with Tony Mariani and Chops and a whole bunch of guys
Chops is
from
in the crowd.
neighborhood. Chops is in the audience. And it was scheduled that same week we were supposed to go to spring training. So I go to the AUSA and I said, "Hey, can we get this thing continued?" She goes, "I'll ask the judge." She goes to the judge, and he said, "No, it's been continued too many times. We're going to trial this week." So I missed out on spring training.
Okay.
Money,
That's why you remember
hotel.
the story.
So, well,
What? Go ahead.
is he still alive?
No, I don't know. He never showed up. The guy never showed up, and nobody could find him. And let me backtrack. That Troy Bybee said, "Hey, don't let him go. Oklahoma DEA is looking for him. Put him in handcuffs and keep him." So I did. Oklahoma came up. They snatched his ass up and took him back to Oklahoma. That was the last I seen of him.
Yeah,
that was
probably-
it.
Yeah, if St. Louis didn't get the jurisdiction on that case, he fucked up elsewhere much bigger than that.
No doubt.
Yeah. So one of the,
Nobody went to trial.
If he's
no
listening,
nothing.
come on to the podcast.
Turn yourself in.
turn yourself
Yeah.
in.
I wanted to go to spring training.
Well, I know.
Never happened.
You know where you get security if you need security needs, Tommy?
Tell me.
Campbell Security Group.
Oh,
Corby
yeah.
Campbell.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, you get on there, campbellsecuritygroup.com. You give them a holler. Somebody called me the other day, one of our listeners, Doc Holliday from the county police, called me. And he needed Corby's information and gave it to him, and they needed some wedding security coming up. So we hooked them up, and that's how it goes when you sponsor with us, and we give it the best we can to give people your way, and but for all your security needs, personal security, home security, and business security, campbellsecuritygroup.com.
Is that it with my story? I guess that was it.
Is there an ending to this?
Is there
story?
more?
Right.
No, that's
Once I start an advertisement after your story, it's over.
Hey, Tom, you want to talk
one.
about Guns and Hoses and the shirts that were supposed to be brought down here? You forgot
Absolutely.
about?
There's a shirt behind you. Why don't you grab that, JJ?
I'm sorry,
Why
I
don't you
didn't
grab
see
that?
you do that. My
Grab
bad.
that off the thing.
Is it mine the way? That
Did you
camera?
hear that? Why don't you
I
grab
see.
it?
Grab it?
Yeah.
It shows that he rarely listens. He has the innate ability just to tune certain shit out. But no, this is Guns and Hoses. We are teaming up with the Guns and Hoses people, Steve Holly, and the folks down there. A great event coming up day before Thanksgiving, and down here at Columbo's, you can come down and order these shirts and hats, and all proceeds go to Guns and Hoses. So come on down to Columbo's, get a Seabo's pizza, get a meal of some sort, order yourself a Guns N' Roses hat.
Roses?
shirt.
Guns and hoses.
Guns and Hoses.
Not roses.
and Guns N' Roses too. You never know. You never know Guns. That was
Come
just,
on now, get your
that
Guns
just,
and Roses
That
hat.
just slipped right out, didn't it?
I'm gonna buy.
You can
one.
get a Skid Row hat and
I'm gonna buy one.
a Van Halen hat too while you're here.
But what we want to do too is, as we move forward and get closer to the Guns and Hoses, is they haven't picked the fighters yet. And I was talking to Steve Holly, and they've had not a record turnout, but a record turnout for the last several years. So they have, over 60 fighters have come out and want to get involved, but they don't have that many. They can't do that many bouts to
They don't have that much time.
right. So a lot of people will not make the final cut, which is unfortunate. I think you had that too, Johnny, didn't you? When you did it?
I trained twice. I didn't get a fight either time.
Because people were scared of you.
Damn right.
Your nickname was One Punch.
One punch Jay, one punch Johnny.
You know Tommy Bottini. Tommy Bottini and I trained one year when we were in Mobile.
Yeah.
Did you didn't get a fight or did you quit?
Nah.
Little
say
both?
We'll say we didn't get a fight.
You were like the guy that
It's like Mike
JJ was
Tyson
just talking
says,
about.
everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the face.
Right.
That's right.
Or they just didn't want to show up and just get a fight. Hey, just give us a fight. We'll worry about it later.
Bo and I were in good shape then.
No, but we look forward to that, and we are going to do our show. That obviously we're not going to have a show on Thanksgiving, but we will be taping our show down at the Guns and Hoses. They're looking for a spot for us. The officer,
Mazzola.
Sean
Sean Mazzola.
Sean
Sorry.
Mazzola is going to be working with us. We'll have him on coming up. We're going to follow a couple fighters, get them on the show, and see how that goes. I think it'll be fun.
There'll be a great group of people down there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we
And,
won't have any shortage of getting people on, no doubt.
Yep.
My favorite night of the
It's a
year.
good group.
What about producer John's
Wednesday
story? We
night
got any
before
stories?
Thanksgiving.
And I think this is going to tie kind of into our main story here. What do you got, Johnny?
Well, it ties into our main story and what? What's so funny?
Nothing.
Nothing.
And
we're watching
the playoffs are on
Like
here,
little
so
children.
we got a
Very-
little baseball flavor on this
Very
too.
distracting.
So, you guys ever heard of Ron LaFleur?
I have. The outfielder, what he?
He was an outfielder for the Detroit Tigers. So Ron grew up in Detroit. He's born in 1948. As a teenager, his mom was a hardworking nurse's aide, but his dad lived with the family, but he was a drunk and he was never around. And so Ron just started. He went off on the wrong track and he started doing heroin with the kids in the neighborhood. the Stroh's Brewery apparently was in their neighborhood, and these kids used to go in there and break in and steal cases of beer and drink all night. So Ron dropped out of school. He never played organized sports because he dropped out. By the time he was 15, he was starting to get in trouble with the law, just going off on the wrong track. So when he was 21, he went into a local bar with a rifle and robbed the place. He got caught. He was arrested, and he got 5 to 15 years for armed robbery, and they sent him to the Jackson State Penitentiary in Michigan. So Ron had never played organized ball till he got behind the wall, and he was a great athlete, naturally.
So you started playing baseball in prison?
In prison.
Okay.
At least organized baseball. So he was one of the best players, and another inmate in the penitentiary knew a guy who owned a bar in Detroit named Jimmy Boutsikaris. Anyway, Jimmy's bar, all the Detroit athletes hung out in there. So the inmate called Jimmy and said, "Hey, I got this guy. He's a great ball player. See if you can get somebody's attention." So Billy Martin hung out in the bar, and he was the manager of the Tigers at the time. So Jimmy talked to him and convinced him that, hey, you need to go look at this guy. So in 1973, it took a couple of years, but Billy went down to the penitentiary with some Detroit people, Tigers people, and they saw him play. And he was fast as lightning. He was a great outfielder, great hitter. So Billy and the Tigers were able to make arrangements to get Ron out for a day to come to Tiger Stadium for a tryout, and he blew him away. So he was up for parole for the first time about this time. So the Tigers signed him right on the spot.
Wow.
Well, that satisfied one of the conditions of parole. He had a job waiting for him when he got out. So in 1973, he got out of the penitentiary and went straight to single-A baseball, and actually played for Jim Leland, who became a major league manager, with the Pirates and Detroit, a bunch of other teams. So Ron LaFleur went through the minor league system like crazy, and by 1974, he was on the Tigers.
Wow.
He was splitting time in center field with Mickey Stanley, who was their longtime center fielder. Came back in 1975 and was the full-time center fielder for the Tigers. So he played for the Tigers. He played for Montreal. I think he maybe played for one other team, but he played until 1982 in Major League Baseball and ended up playing 1,099 games with a career 288 batting average, which is outstanding. And he was a great proficient base stealer. He stole 455 career bases, including 97 in 1 year. And he played in the All-Star game in 1976. So he went from 73 being in the penitentiary to 1975 being in center field for the.
That's unbelievable.
I
Tigers.
remember
Cool.
him. I didn't know that story, though.
Why isn't that? That's incredible. That's my favorite one you've given so far. How is that not a movie?
I think
It was a made-for-TV movie.
Oh,
I
it
think.
was? Okay.
Yeah,
made for TV though.
but
back in the day.
it was back in the
Shit.
day. LeVar Burton was in the movie actually, but
Wow.
now Ron didn't do too much afterward. I mean, he was a baggage handler at the airport, Tom, and then he ran into Joe Brinkman.
My story.
Joe Brinkman was a MLB umpire, so he ended up going to his umpiring school with the hopes of becoming an MLB umpire. He never made it to the major leagues, but he umpired a ton of minor league games. He was
Okay.
like a fill-in umpire. And then he actually caught on, like when the independent baseball became popular, he managed several independent league teams.
That's an awesome story.
That's a cool story.
So he
How many years did he play in the major leagues?
from 75 to 82, so 7 seasons.
Wow.
But
How do you not make money, though?
It was, they didn't
They
make
didn't
that
make
much
no money back then.
No, he
Yeah.
didn't get a pension.
Yeah.
You got to do 10 years to get a pension for the major leagues.
plus the other thing though, he never won a Gold Glove, but every year he was one of the top
Is he still alive? Do you know?
He's alive. He's apparently not in good health. He lost, he had to have a leg amputated and whatnot.
Oh wow.
But he is still alive. It sounds like he's just retired now.
I think that should
That's a
be
great story.
A real motion picture would be a great story.
Yeah.
Well, then that kind of brings us into our main story, story about, again, Paige Spears. And I'll give a little background, and I'll kick it over to Johnny, who's talked to him on the phone several times. And but the story was brought to our attention by a previous guest, Steve James. And Steve's story, he painted our picture, our portrait back here. And we'll update you on Steve a little later. But this is Paige Spears is Steve's brother-in-law. And Paige
Stepbrother.
Stepbrother. I'm sorry, stepbrother. And back in the early '80s, as a young kid, Paige robbed somebody at the age of 16. He was tried as an adult for his first offense, and he was convicted. And he had another one and another one. So he went to jail, got out, did another one, and then his final one and his third one was in 1988. He ended up getting sentenced in 1989. And he was guilty. He admits he was guilty. But at the time, in 1989, there was a couple laws in effect that are no longer in effect. And if I'm not mistaken, John, correct me when I go wrong here, but one of them was he was charged as a prior and persistent offender, which at the time came with a maximum penalty. So as a maximum penalty, it was going to be life in prison. Well, back in that year, in 1989, life in prison was considered 50 years.
Wow.
But it was a minimum
It was a minimum.
Yeah.
That's what he could get as a
because
minimum.
it is 3 convictions.
Correct. So that was the law. There was nobody.
Right.
Nobody tried to do anything. And then he got 30 extra years for ACA. So he got life
Armed
plus
collection.
life plus 30. And after he got convicted, they reduced life to 30 years, and they got rid of the Class X felony, which was on the books at the time. But they did not make those laws retroactive. So his life was 50, and then they,
What he got, he's doing.
and then John, there's several people that, like the Wesley Bell's office did something, didn't they?
Yeah. So the Class X felony went into effect in 1987, the year before they robbed a liquor store. He and a buddy. Nobody was ever hurt in any of these incidents. They didn't shoot anybody. They didn't beat anybody up. And even in the robbery, the third robbery, they went into a liquor store up on Airport Road. Apparently, his partner had a small caliber pistol. They robbed the place, but some patrons saw what was going on. They called 911. Paige and his buddy run out. They jump in they got $600 and something. They go to jump in the getaway car, and they lock the keys in it.
So they're not even good robbers.
Yeah, so
He's
they
terrible robber.
Sorry,
for the
Paige.
course.
You're in the. You're,
hey Paige.
Sorry, Paige. We got to make fun of you too.
Yeah.
I thought he was
But-
going to say they ran out of gas.
Yeah.
So they take off running through the neighborhood. The police get them less than a half a mile away. They get the gun. They get the money. They got them, and so he's there. So that a year before that is when the Class X felony and then 2 years after he got his third conviction is when they changed life from 50 years before you get parole to 30 years. So he hit that perfect spot where he qualified for this
Prior
persistent,
Class X.
but he also
Just missed the 30.
yeah so anyway he's like on a little island there.
And he's how old now?
63, I think.
63, and John's talked to him. And again, when this was brought to John's attention, John's first, what was your initial reaction?
It's like, we're replacement. We're not here to get people out of jail. And if you got life in prison and you're not even eligible for another, 5 years, you must have done something pretty messed up to be in that position. So and I kind of told Paige the first time I talked to him, I was like, I don't know if we can do anything for you, And he goes, well, would you please just at least look into it?
Right, and then when you did, you realized that this might be worth, what I was saying today when I was talking to somebody about it is sometimes common sense. You know, you look at something and you got to say, okay, the law is the law. Nobody ever screwed anything up. There was no lawyers did anything wrong. No policeman did. Nobody did anything wrong. The prisoner didn't do anything wrong. There's just wrong timing for everything. And you know, and it's one of those things that, you know, you can ask the legislators to change the law, but to change the law for one person, they're just not going to do it. So,
Right.
I mean, he was guilty for it. I mean,
Yeah,
he
there's
should have
He
a lot of
pled
time.
guilty.
But he's-
no question about it.
but I think instead of telling his story, we'll listen to his phone call first, and then
Yeah.
we'll talk a little bit about his prison time after you listen to the phone call here.
All right, we're speaking with Paige Spears from the Farmington Correctional Facility. Paige, how long you been in that particular facility?
This facility here, I've been here 20 years,
And then you've been incarcerated for how long?
36 years.
Let our listeners know, at what point during this time of you being incarcerated did you feel that you had saw the light, so to speak, and started to turn your life around?
I would say the first year of my incarceration, I kind of like did it my way. I was very rebellious against the system. I was in denial for what I was here for. I didn't want to learn anything that the department had to offer to me. And so in 1995, I had a sister. She got murdered from a home burglary. And she always told me that I needed to change my life. You know, if I want to ever get out of prison, I got to do right. So I had this one caseworker here by the name of Les Seymour. He would always say that he's seen a lot of good in me and I need to straighten up if I ever want to go home. So he had this 12-week substance abuse program, and he enrolled me in that 12-week substance abuse program. And during the 12 weeks of me being in the substance abuse program, a light bulb clicked on. And it seemed like every time one of the staff people would say something or teach me something, it was like they was talking directly to me and not the entire class. So upon graduating from the class, I wanted to keep pursuing self-help programs. And he just kept pushing me forward, saying that you can be a teacher, you can facilitate different classes, just stick with what you're doing. So I believed in that. And my sister, you know, I'm sure that she'd be proud of knowing that I never looked back since. So from 1995 all the way up to today, you know, I just been teaching self-help programs in the Missouri Department of Corrections.
Okay, so it's fair to say that, you know, for the last almost 30 years, you've been a model prisoner and you've done everything the system's asked, and you got a life sentence for something that, you know, people usually don't get life sentences for, but it was your third conviction. As far as getting out before the 40-year mark, what options do you have right now?
Well, the only option I have now is petition to the Governor Mike Parson and ask that my sentence be commuted, which I have done. I am currently doing now. My family went there April the 10th of this year, and they spoke with some of the legislators in Jefferson City at the Capitol, and some of the legislators said that this was a tragedy, me being incarcerated like this year, and I've completed pretty much every program that the DOC has to offer, as well as write some of the programs for the Missouri Department of Correction. And they stated that they will do what they can to correct this matter. So I do have a petition on Mike Parsons' desk now, and it's been there ever since he's been in office. And my understanding is that he only has 50 petitions left on his desk, and I'm still present. So I'm just asking that, you know, maybe I can get some support, you know, towards Mike Parsons, because that's my only out right now.
Well, Paige, take this opportunity to appeal directly to Governor Parson and let him know why you deserve to be out and what your life's going to be like when you do get out.
Yeah, I would just like to say, Governor Parson, I wrote you several letters. I've even had a DVD sent to your office from one of the administrators here of the Department of Corrections, actually showing me teaching some of the classes here for the offenders as well as for staff. And this DVD has been distributed to all of the institutions in Missouri Department of Corrections of my teaching. And I just want to say that if you allow me to be released back in society, I would do everything in my power to remain a free individual. I just want to get out and take care of my 88-year-old mother, who's been waiting patiently for me to return to society. I got family out there that want me home. I got job opportunities out there. People want to hire me to work. I got people that love and care for me. I think that I have risen above and beyond the expectation of an offender being in Missouri Department of Corrections. And there's nothing else for the department to offer me. So I think I've done everything I could possibly do to prove not only to myself, but to the staff people, to my family, my friends. Everyone knows that I'm not the person that I was when I came in here at the age of 26 years old. I'm 63 years old. And I don't know many 63-year-old people that's committing on robberies out there. And I'm not the person to go out and violate that. I just want to get out and live the rest of my life and be a productive member of society, and just be the person that I know I can be. Because what happened in 1988, that was a bad choice in my life, and that won't ever happen again. So I just ask that you take a look at my case and pray that, you feel the need that I'm someone that do deserve to be free. So thank you, Mr. Parson.
All right, Paige, very well said. And I don't, there's nothing that can top that. I admire you for your persistence and how you turn your life around and how you have really done, like you said, everything possible that you can do to make yourself better, to rehabilitate yourself. And, myself and my fellow show members, we're all pulling for you, and we'll do what we can to help you get out.
Yeah. And I thank you very much for that too, John. I really do. There's not many people out there, that, take the time for people that's incarcerated and just hear our voice, and I just appreciate you to allow me to take the time out to be able to share my voice to the public, because you do have a lot of good people here that's doing the right thing. They want to gain their freedom. They just don't have that proper voice out there, for someone to get behind them and do what they can to support their release, So I just want to thank you and your team for hearing me and willing to get behind me, gain my freedom. I just want to say thank you and thank everybody that's listening and everybody that's willing to support Paige Spears. Thank you very, very much.
Great interview, John. That was well done.
Good job, Johnny.
What really a tragic story.
Yeah, he's a good guy. I've talked to him probably 10, 12 times now. I believe him. I think he needs another chance. There's a lot of people out there running around right now, robbing people and killing people and whatever. Right. I'd rather see somebody else in that jail cell than Paige.
Absolutely.
Now, John, you said the warden is actually for him. He's trying to get this done.
Yeah,
right?
it's a female, and she sent a petition around. Paige is the photographer for the institution. Like every time they have an event, they had Family Day last week. He took pictures. He's a trustee. They let him. He's got privileges a lot of other inmates don't have.
So the warden doesn't have enough. Can't she reach out to the governor? And
they've tried.
Really?
She sent one of her people up to Jeff City to drop this DVD off of him teaching these classes to other inmates on, how to get your life straight. Nobody knows if the governor or staff have seen it yet or not, but I just, hey, we all have that sixth sense about dealing with people. I think that if Paige gets out, which hopefully will because he's not even eligible to even have a hearing for 5 more years. Well, his mom's 88 right now and not in good health.
He's 63. I mean,
and he's 63.
That's 5 important years right there.
Yeah, he said, he goes, hey, if everything goes right, I won't be walking out of here, even if I get out till I'm like 70. So,
Right.
Yeah.
so the guy, a lot of people get convicted of things and get out, and I asked him, I said, hey,
Homicide.
how many murders have you seen come in and leave and come back again? He said,
Right.
a bunch, and
And he sits
Yeah,
there.
they don't get that
Never
time.
hurt anybody.
yeah, never hurt anybody. And he, like I said, he wasn't even a good stick-up man for that regard. He got caught every time.
And we're
he
not
did it.
we're not saying one of every stick-up man. If you rob somebody, you need to go to jail for a long
Right.
time. He's been in jail for a long time. He's 61. I mean, he's redone. He's turned. What's the whole thing about jail is rehabilitating him. He's been
Yeah.
rehabilitated, and it's kind of the twist that we're talking about. We're talking about getting a guy out of jail, and we've talked. Our whole podcast is talking about putting people in jail. But I think it's we all have hearts, and we understand that
Common sense, right?
Right.
Right.
Common sense says this
Right.
guy needs to be out. And that's and again, there's no to change the law takes a lot of meetings and sessions and
Yeah, and the
hopefully
law
thi-
the law has been changed, but it just didn't affect him.
to go retroactive, right?
Yeah, he's what he would have to do is make everything retroactive, and by that time it'll probably be 5 years.
Think of the good he could do outside,
Right.
talking to those young kids that might be on the fence, going this way or that way. No, what are you laughing
I was going to say cure the violence.
No, I don't know that he wants to get involved. He's
No,
like he
but
said, he's got a photography background. I
No,
know.
at?
He's
He
what
could
John said.
steer a young kid
Right.
down the right path. I've been there, done it. You don't
Right.
want to go there,
Yeah.
If there's programs like that out there, but he might want to just stay away from people at 63.
Right. And let him live his life, man.
I would.
He knows what he wants to do when he gets out.
But I found it interesting
If
in the
he gets
story,
it.
like you said, about being rehabilitated, where he even admits when he first got to the penitentiary that he
Right.
he didn't accept anything. He was rebellious against the system,
Sure.
and then that's how that rehabilitation occurred.
Right.
And right now he's a model prisoner, holding classes himself.
If you have the warden backing you up,
You'd think.
going to the governor on your behalf,
You think?
Apparently that doesn't work. So what we're asking people to do is the old 6 degrees to Kevin Bacon, right?
right?
Is the 6 degrees of the governor. And hopefully you only have 1 degree or you have 2 degrees to get to. But if you know somebody that knows the governor, Paige needs we're begging for people to just make that phone call that might be able to make that phone call, who might be able to make a phone call that gets us in front of the governor's desk. And we're a bunch of, and before we've done this story, we've talked to how many policemen, John? A good 50 of them to tell them
Yeah.
this story, because we wanted to make sure how this came across. And every one of them was like, hell yeah, he deserves to be out.
Sure.
Now, we haven't gotten any of the police organizations involved because we don't want them to, have to feel like they're obligated to do this. But all the members of those associations that we talk to are down for getting Paige out of jail. So if you can get to the governor and you can let him know that I have yet to meet a policeman that I've told this story to that says, no, that's probably not a good idea. We need to keep him in jail.
Yeah, and go to YouTube. There's a 3-part testimonial from Paige that Department of Corrections sent somebody down there to do. It's like 5 minutes per part, but one's his past. And he's very honest. He said even when he first got to prison, I was still a criminal when I got here. I was still doing drugs. I didn't want to do anything they told me to do. I was hard-headed. I didn't want to. But then he gets to the present and talking about, everything we just talked about pretty much. And then the future, kind of like what he said, what he's going to do when he gets out. But it's nice to see him say it, and the interviewer's off camera. But he's very, very honest, and the guy never once has said, I got free cased. I don't.
Right.
He goes, I belong. I got.
He's good.
I got put in jail for a reason, but I've done everything humanly possible to prove that I'm ready to get out.
And I think we should mention, too, that Wesley Bell's office did review the case, and they just said that the laws are the laws. They can't change the laws.
Right.
They would love to let him out of jail, but they can't because they have to change.
He
They
got
have to
caught in
follow
that
the
window.
laws. Right. So
That's it, yeah.
I think the one thing we want to do before we end is let's give a quick update on Steve James, John. We've got his website set up now.
Professor Rick Horace, who did our webpage, he did Steve's at the same time. It's stevepjames.com, and it's just about all his paintings that he's done, his portraits. And Steve's he's motivated. He's cranking them out right and left.
Yep.
So he's got some really cool works of art on the. You can buy them right on the website.
Right.
So
And some of them have a price, and then some of them he would rather you bid on because they're very good. I mean, he's got that one with Good Times,
yeah,
and that was his. And I forget who the painter of the original Good Times picture is,
Right.
but that was his like hero in high school when he was taking painting,
Yep.
and he recreated that, so it's not an original. But I thought it's a real cool one. And if you remember old Good
I
Times
do.
back in the
Oh,
day,
yeah.
that's a cool one.
The
Yeah.
dad just died.
Yeah.
and Steve also does portraits.
Yeah, he just died.
He just died.
A couple days ago.
The dad.
John Amos.
Yeah.
Did he?
Yeah.
Okay.
And John Amos knew that guy, and that's the reason that painting was on Good Times.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
So,
passed.
Steve also does portraits for people. I mean, he obviously does it for families of crime victims. But if you have a painting you want done of a family member, an event, or a loved one that's gone, or a pet, or whatever, he's good. He really is.
He is. He's got a neat one of Michael Jordan dunking over Kobe Bryant. He calls it The Sky's the Limit.
Oh, that's
It
cool.
was a pretty cool one. There's just little stuff like that. And he had one of, what were some of the other ones he had, John? Had one of a saloon, had the one in Dogtown. That was funny.
Yeah, the Dogtown with the dogs running around.
Does he have the one with the dogs who playing poker?
No, that was another artist, another great American artist.
That's a great drawing.
It is.
I liked his Mother Teresa one. Was
not-
really
He does.
good.
He has one of Mother Teresa.
It was really good.
Really?
Plus,
No, if
he's,
you go on his website, what is stevepjames.com.
yeah. Plus, he's got both Donald Trump and
Kamala Harris painting.
Kamala Harris paintings. So
Is Trump playing cards with the three prosecutors that he's against?
That's good.
And in his hand, he had the three Supreme Court judges that he appointed.
yeah, it was very clever.
That's clever.
Shit, I want that one.
good.
What's he charged for that one?
I don't know. I think he might have got rid of it. But no, he's
not
he's
political
this. And then when we were out there, we went out there to take some pictures, and he was telling me he got his driver's license. You know, even though he's disabled, he went out and got his driver's license. He's ready to go. Yeah. And hopefully we can help him get his website going, get these paintings to generate more money for him because he wants to get out of that apartment he's in. And I really understand that.
Sure.
And he's got some cool birds. And then one of the stories that I liked, and of course Steve's in a wheelchair, but one particular bird fucks with him when he knows it's time to go back in the cage. He'll go just out of his reach to where he can't get him from the
can't get him.
wheelchair. Yep. He told me that story, and I my daughters all had birds when they were younger, and some of them can't have a personality. Those birds,
Right.
And he said this one fucks with him all the time.
That's one. I'd open the window up.
What's that?
Let that bird go. I'd
Yeah.
get rid of that bird.
What,
Well, the
when
birds-
when he messing with you, you just get rid of the birds.
Just get rid of the bird.
he almost got rid of the birds because he puts them out on his patio, like on the what do you call it, the balcony.
The lanai.
The balcony, and he had him out there, and he was going to get him, and he heard it screeching and all this stuff, and there was an eagle that had landed and was trying to take off with the bird cage, because he lives up by he lives up in North County by the river, and the eagle the bird cage got caught on something like the barbecue pit or something, and eagle didn't get away with it, but.
That's awesome. I love eagles, predator birds. They're awesome.
There's the vultures.
Not like vultures, but like owls and eagles and hawks. They're cool.
All right. That's
All right,
that's
I
a
think we'll end
wrap
on
on
that
that.
note.
But you know what though, Tommy? One last thing. You know what?
What's that?
Communities that support law enforcement are safer places to live.
Absolutely, they are. Yeah.
So there you go.
That's what we're
No
about.
doubt about that.
That's what
End
we're
of the
trying
show,
to
and
do.
then let's free Paige Spears. If you know anybody that's out there that can get to the governor,
Yeah, Governor, please have a heart and give our guy a
let's do
second
some
chance.
common sense and get this man out of prison and get him back to his family and his mother and let him enjoy the final years of everybody's lives. And,
Amen.
so free Paige Spears. Peace.
Sounds good.